Title: A woman after paying for a burger for an elderly man, the McDonald's manager fires her. But 2 hours later everyone. In a small town, Marissa, a dedicated and warm-hearted young woman in her mid-20s, worked at a local McDonald's. Although her job didn't pay much, she took pride in every order she prepared and every customer she served. Her colleagues respected her kindness, and the regulars adored her gentle smile. Marissa had her fair share of struggles, student debt, rent to pay, and a distant family, but she carried herself with a humble resilience. The restaurant was bustling one rainy evening as people dashed inside to escape the downpour. Marissa was working the evening shift, preparing orders behind the counter. Amid the chaos, she noticed an elderly man shuffling slowly toward the counter, his clothes soaked and his face lined with exhaustion. He had a frail frame, and his hands trembled as he reached into his pocket, searching for money. Marissa noticed him immediately, her heart going out to him. The man approached Marissa at the counter and asked for a simple burger. His voice was barely a whisper, and as he fumbled with his change, it became evident he didn't have enough. Marissa didn't hesitate, she reached into her pocket and paid for his meal. The elderly man thanked her with tears in his eyes, blessing her with words she hadn't expected to hear. As Marissa handed him the burger, her manager, Carl, stormed over with a disapproving look. Carl had a reputation for being strict, always watching the bottom line, and rarely showing compassion for his employees or customers. "Marissa," he said in a cold tone, "a free burger. Did he pay?" She looked at him calmly, explaining how she'd covered it herself because the man seemed to be struggling. She expected some understanding, but instead, Carl's face darkened. "We don't give out handouts here," he snapped, his voice loud enough to catch the attention of nearby customers. "If you can't follow policy, then maybe you don't belong here." Marissa felt a wave of embarrassment but tried to stand her ground. "Carl, it was my own money. I just wanted to help." But Carl wasn't having any of it. He told her she was fired without another word and ordered her to leave immediately. Stunned and hurt, Marissa took off her apron, placed it on the counter, and walked out of the restaurant with her head held high. As she stepped into the rain, Marissa's thoughts swirled with disbelief and sadness. She had always gone above and beyond in her job, doing her best to bring a little bit of kindness into everyone's day. And now, for a simple act of compassion, she had lost her job. She felt humiliated, as though she'd been punished for something she had been proud of. Marissa wandered through the city, unsure of what to do next. She had no backup plan and only a small amount of savings. The financial hit was bad enough, but what hurt more was the injustice of it all. She had been dismissed without a second thought by a man who didn't care about her loyalty or her hard work. Yet, beneath her disappointment, Marissa couldn't bring herself to regret helping the elderly man. 2 hours later, as the night deepened, Marissa found herself in a quiet park, trying to collect her thoughts. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. To her surprise, it was a message from one of her friends who had been working the shift at McDonald's after she left. Her friend explained that shortly after Marissa had walked out, something incredible had happened. The elderly man Marissa had helped return to the restaurant, this time with a younger man at his side. They spoke with Carl, asking about Marissa and why she wasn't there. When they learned she had been fired, the younger man demanded to speak with the manager and insisted on knowing more about what had happened. What Carl didn't realize was that this elderly man wasn't just anyone. He was Jonathan Hale, a well-known philanthropist in the city, and the younger man was his grandson, Adam, a successful businessman in his own right. They had come back to thank Marissa for her kindness and to see if they could repay her generosity. Hearing about Marissa's firing, Adam grew furious. He told Carl that what Marissa had done was an act of humanity, something sorely needed in today's world. Carl, dismissive and unbothered, only scoffed, insisting that policy was policy. But Adam was relentless. He threatened to take action against Carl, promising that the community would hear about this incident. Meanwhile, Jonathan Hale decided to take matters into his own hands. He asked his grandson to find Marissa and bring her to him. Adam was more than willing, eager to make things right. With his resources and connections, he quickly found Marissa's contact information and arranged to meet her in the park where she had been sitting alone, still reflecting on the day's events. When Adam met Marissa in the park, he could tell she was surprised and perhaps a bit suspicious of his intentions. But he gently explained everything, who his grandfather was, how touched they had been by her gesture, and their outrage at Carl's response. Marissa listened in stunned silence, never imagining that her simple act of kindness could have led to all of this. Adam extended an offer. His grandfather was looking to hire someone to work with him on a community outreach project, a role that would involve helping underprivileged individuals in the city. They wanted Marissa for the job. Overwhelmed with gratitude and disbelief, Marissa accepted the offer. She couldn't believe her luck and felt as though the universe had, in a way, restored the justice that had been stripped from her earlier that night. A week later, Marissa started her new role working alongside Jonathan Hale, becoming part of initiatives she only dreamed of supporting. She organized charity drives, managed food distribution programs, and helped oversee a homeless shelter project. She became a beloved figure in the community, not only for her compassion but for her dedication to making a difference. Word of her story spread through the local news, and soon enough, the tale of the fired McDonald's employee who had shown kindness to a stranger became a viral sensation. People rallied to support Marissa, sharing her story across social media, and donations began pouring in for the causes she was involved with. Carl, the manager who had fired her, wasn't as fortunate. As public pressure mounted, the franchise owner investigated the incident, and eventually, Carl was dismissed for his lack of empathy and poor judgment. It became a clear message to businesses in the area that compassion mattered, even in the smallest of actions. In the end, Marissa found herself at a level she had never imagined, making a meaningful impact on people's lives daily. The kindness she had shown to one elderly man had come full circle, changing not only her life but also inspiring others to act with empathy and generosity. Through her journey, Marissa learned that acts of kindness, no matter how small, can ripple outward in ways beyond imagination. And each day in her new role, she brought that lesson to life, paying forward the goodwill she had received in her own time of need.